Yo, what's going on, team? This is Arts Trading, and today I'm going to be going over quickly my day trades that I took. I took a lot of scalps and I took a few day trades. Took a lot of Amazon. Kind of an interesting day today in the market overall. It was a very green day, and I do expect it to go a little higher. If you tuned into the watch list this morning, you would have definitely been able to capitalize on a lot of the callouts that I had made. Obviously, not financial advice, but I did believe that we would see about 407 on the S&P 500 today, and that is about where we peaked out. We sit at 409 at close, and obviously in after hours it is a little lower. That said, though, ES is currently holding this uptrend, and I'm pretty excited. But overall, I took a lot of trades. So firstly, let's break right into this thing. Amazon is my big winner for today. This is my scalp account, and oh, what the heck? It shows $0. One sec. So this is my profit for today, about $3,000 trading on Amazon only. I did take a few loss trades right in the morning, so this was pretty much just I think pretty much right at open. I took losses on Amazon. I tried to short it, and then I tried to long it, and I was wrong both times. Pretty much what ended up happening was that I took pretty far out strikes in comparison to where the stock was at. Again, that's completely against my rules, and that's my fault. What I like to preach is always buy at the least at the money or in the money. Obviously, you can play with your expiry depending on your risk tolerance, but I do want to make sure that you are always taking the safer approach. In this case, buying in the money at the money, because if you're buying out of the money and it goes against you, you end up losing a lot more due to the change in delta and the theta decay. That in mind, it was a pretty simple little day here. $3,000 profit, just trading Amazon only on that, and that was pretty solid. Overall, I would say that I'm pretty pleased with how today went. I just wanted to really quickly break down exactly what I did today when it comes to these trades. That way I can kind of show you guys how I went about, what I was looking at and what it really meant when I was taking my trades. So let's start off with I'll pull up my log right now just to make this thing easier. So these are all my trades. Right here you can see live trading. So my first entry was at 6:30 right at open. Bad idea. I bought 2,300 calls. So let's go right to the open, and almost instantly I was red. And this is exactly why I don't actually like to trade open. I think that trading open recently has become a lot more risky, and I definitely paid the price on this one. So I had taken a position in call options, 2,300 calls, and keep in mind that this thing opened up at 2,270. So I was buying $30 out of the money, along with this thing being a weekly expiry. Again, not against, or this was completely against my rule set, and that's why I took a loss when I really didn't need to. So pretty much I held this thing for about 5 minutes. So I sold, I sold these calls pretty much as this thing started dumping out, and then it bounced right back up, which is a little frustrating considering that it ended up riding higher, and if I actually held on to it, I would have definitely made a little bit of profit. My second entry was at 636. So really quick, let's put 636. I entered a position short for 2200p. Pretty much what ended up happening here is I'm like, okay, I'm short now, and this thing started riding up even higher. I got forced out of my trade because of just how quickly it started running upwards, and it started giving me that theta decay that I didn't want to take. So I hedged my bet actually with a $2,300 call at 638, and so that was right here, and that actually negated the very big majority of my losses. So I was actually down about $500 at this time. Next, I took trades at 644, so that would be about right here. And I took a short play. It was a very small scalp. I just took this candle and this candle, and I made a few $100. Pretty much, it was just a very big scalp day for me. So I took a small break after that trade just because I was already a little stressed out. But pretty much what I was looking at this entire time when it came to these trades is, after this initial dip, we first, for one, pinged a reversal to the downside, but mainly we have a MACD crossover. You know how I get with this MACD setup. Once we have this, our trend is set. So pretty much this entire time, MACD stayed open, so this thing headed lower. And obviously our gravity line, 200 moving average, is that point of support. So once this thing actually had the cross with the SMA lines and the fall below 50, it's almost guaranteed that we're going to end up seeing a touch of the 200-day moving average, and that's where it bounced again, double bottom, did not hold, and it fell even lower. I took short right here, and that's where you were able to see that pretty decent profit. Let me pull up my PL chart. That's taking a second to load on my side. That's a little strange. But the short side that I took was a small win of about 550 bucks. That is right there. And pretty much what I'm looking at is, again, holding these crossover events. But once we ended up getting this thing to hold around 220, I ended up taking this thing long, and I actually held for a pretty long majority of today. I think that the overall trade, again, was on this 4-hour chart. So when I had mentioned it on the watch list, I said, hey, look, we have a crossover on the 4-hour chart. We had a bull flag set up, and we have an SMA squeeze. So basically, all this means is that we almost have to head up just based off of this setup. We have a bull flag. Every single box was checked off. So everything made sense. I took long, and I just held my calls. Pretty much what I wanted to do today was ride on top of the 50 and 200-day moving averages, because you've been flagged as a pattern trade. But we knew this. I swapped this account from a margin account because I do have an interactive brokers account, and I'll actually be doing a trade setup video for that platform as well. That in mind, we did fall back below here. This was kind of a scary little moment because the entire market, I think, took a pretty fat dump from there. But it seemed to be a stop hunt type of event. So because I was already green due to my nature of buying so low, I actually just ended up holding through this sell. And I was still green, so I let it go. I said, all right, look, if it falls below about 22.35, I'll close, but it never did. So I ended up holding this position, and it continued going higher. I sold around 22.60 once we saw resistance, because when you look at this thing on a 1-minute chart, you can see that our resistance was pretty much 22.80, 22.60, pretty much the entire morning. And so once we started retesting right here and broke below, obviously that's your sign to sell because it was a rejection. The entire market sold off, but we ended up holding on to that 22.40 level that I was just kind of mentioning here. Notice our auto support line shows up right here. But overall, I think the trade itself was pretty solid. I then took long once we broke back above the 200-day moving average and had this crossover. So again, crossed, headed right up, pushed, and I just kept buying more and more calls. Pretty simple trade setup in terms of what I'm actually doing. But I do want to say that the extra confirmation that you're looking for is this MACD cross. So again, crossed, and it held from 11:36, almost half an hour. So you had this entire confirmation of, hey, this thing's probably going to head up higher. And also you can double check your confirmation with this 5-minute chart. So keep in mind, this is, again, 11:30, pretty much to the end of the day. We had a crossover, and we only plateaued towards the end of the day, but we did close with a bull flag, which is why I believe that we'll probably end up seeing a higher trading day tomorrow. That said, I do like how this thing's sitting right now in terms of the SMA lines right now. The 4-hour chart looks super solid. Let me pull up a daily chart. This thing still looks a little bad, but we did finally break above the 9 SMA, which does allow me to start considering a crossover trade. Pretty much what I'm looking for is an inverse head and shoulders. I think we'll eventually get back up to 2,500 with Amazon, and I think tomorrow, if we see a green day with Amazon, I think we'll likely see about 2,350 to 2,400 as my price targets, and I'll definitely be scalp trading it tomorrow once again because of how good it looks right now. That said, I do want to say that NQ, /NQ, the NASDAQ, does look really solid right now. It is down about 0.5% right now as we speak. But if you pull up a daily chart, same story. We have an inverse little head and shoulders going on right now. If I put up a 4-hour chart, you can better see it. Inverse head, shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulder. I think this thing shreds. That's all I got to say. We have a crossover. Both SMA lines are above 50. We have a crossover on the 4-hour chart. I think the daily chart just needs to catch up a little bit. It's already touching. So I think tomorrow we see kind of a rocket launch, honestly. Especially if we can get above 12,800. That'll definitely be a pretty big push. Again, not financial advice, but I do like how this thing looks as a whole. So what is my game plan going into tomorrow? I'm looking at Amazon. Again, Amazon taking 2 contract position sizes. That's about $8,000 that I'm trading with. And I'm looking at I'm aiming for about 10% per trade. Taking scalps on crossovers, and that's it. Pretty basic setup, but I think that it's pretty effective. For those who want to follow along with the trades, I have my Discord link in the description for you guys, and the masterclass is also on sale. So that is also in the description below. I appreciate everyone who does watch these videos because I know that they are a little technical. That said, though, I do want to say that the challenge account is going to be revamped. I do want to change the rules a little bit so we have a little bit more risk that we're taking, but that allows us to have a more lucrative trade potentially. If it goes in our favor, we can definitely make a little more bang for our buck. That said, though, I am going to call this video here. I appreciate everyone for tuning in as usual. I'll be uploading again tomorrow. I'll see you guys then. Peace.